Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video, the first episode of the brand new series, Team Building with Zooch, where I take a viewer and basically live team build, kind of how I did with Pampy. And then after we build the team, I will go over the replay after the game has been done and basically just talk about how the game went, how I think the game is played, the team, and everything else. So without further ado, we have our first person here for the first series. It is none other than Toast. What's going on, man?
I am celebrating 4th of July as a Canadian by doing absolutely nothing about it.
I know, my 4th of July plans got ruined, so I was like, no, let's just get this done now. Why not? So, yeah, we have this is actually a NatDex game, so there's no Terra, there's no, I don't think there's any like Z moves or anything. It's just pretty much standard how it is. And then
Also, no hidden power and no pursuit.
no hidden
But
power,
apart
no
from that,
pursuit.
all the other Dexidid moves are allowed.
Okay, so Fury Cutter is allowed, correct?
I did not know that was Dexidid.
I
My world just got a little bit less bright.
think it was cut in like Gen 8 or something. I don't know. So it's probably, I don't know if any of these Pokemon even use it. But yeah. Anyways, so yeah, we have a matchup here. You said this guy was actually doing pretty good, right? That you're playing against?
Yeah, currently undefeated, and his Chen Pao is Kill Leader.
Okay, what week is it? How many wins
Several
he got?
spots above the Shell Smash allowed Mega Blastoise.
Oh, that's broken, man. What week is it?
It is I think it's week 7.
So he's 6-0.
Yes.
And what's your record?
Currently I'm at 4-2.
Okay, easy dub for us. Easy dub for us. All right. So you said that you looked at it a little bit, but not too much, right? The matchup.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just look to see if there was any like glaring holes I saw.
Okay. Did you see
Because
it?
I don't think I'll be able to defensively check him. I think I just need to out offense here.
That's a good strategy going into it for sure. So yeah, just looking at Chiempo real quick. Well, I guess just looking at his draft, like, have you like noticed any weaknesses? It's definitely harder to spot weaknesses in like 9 to 11 mons, just because there's obviously more mons to cover stuff. So I don't know. Do you see anything that kind of stands
The only
out?
removal he has is Defog, which gets rid of his own hazards.
Yes, Togekiss, Rotom, Body, 3 defoggers. So do you think like maybe going like a hazard stack route could work here? We don't have really spikes.
One thing I've been really kicking myself about this draft is my only spiker is a fucking Spidops.
Yeah, that's realistically not coming. So, but you do have a good amount of rockers at least, so that's good. So, but yeah, I do think trying to out offense him could be the way here. I think there's a really good Pokemon in my opinion. Just looking at it right away, I think Reverum actually has a really good matchup here because Shift Gear is really good just because you can outspeed pretty much anything, even if it's Scarfed, you know. But if you just look at this dual stab plus ground move for these two guys, like
that hits everything.
At +1 looks really, really strong. There is a Pokemon that's kind of annoying for that Pokemon though, in the way. I don't know if you can tell. There's a kind of one Pokemon I think that kind of shuts that set down, but that's okay.
My first thought is Prankster Willow from Sableye.
Yeah, it's Sableye because Encore for Shift Gear or Willow. You're correct. So I think going in though, like Reverum as a win condition could be solid, and then like we have a couple Pokemon that can deal with Sableye, especially like Primarina. Like Sableye can't really do anything to Prim. And then obviously if they bring like Registeel, maybe like that's gonna be able to tank probably one like +1 high horsepower or something. But I think, you know, keeping it in the back perhaps, and then like just finding your right opportunity, I think is a good way to kind of sweep his team. You might not even like really expect it to, because it is a lower tier Pokemon, but it's still a pretty like known like setup sweeper. So he might, but I just don't see like, you know, things that he could really do for it besides just throwing in Sableye and hoping that it works, you know.
Yeah. The one thing I never like having to rely on hitting a gunk shot, but
yeah,
I have to do what I have to do here.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, it does get like
I can.
Let me see. Reverum.
It does get poison jab, but that is.
Yeah, we'll look at the calcs later just to make sure. But I think just
yeah,
the standard Shift Gear, you know, just stabs, high horsepower. I think that's a pretty good win condition. But we'll see. Heavy Slam or Iron Headed? What do you think here is better? I think Heavy Slam does more to
Steel move would mainly be for the Togekiss and the Chinpao.
And the
Sableye. And I don't know the weights of either of those.
Yeah.
Or the weights of regular.
We could check. I think Heavy Slam is really strong into Togekiss, I would assume. Togekiss can't be heavy, right?
If they're roughly equivalent in power, I like going with
Okay, so it is the
Iron
same.
Head because that means I can theoretically win from any position.
Yeah, right. Okay, so actually it's the same for Togekiss. What about oh, Sableye, I guess is what we'd have to use it for too.
Gumshot probably Yoko's Chinpo anyway, but I would like to have that
Yeah.
reliability.
Okay, Heavy Slam is really strong versus Sableye. Mm, I guess we could check things versus like Ogre Pond too, just because like again you don't want to click Gunk Shot if you don't have to, you know.
Yeah. I'm thinking. My first thought is like Lum for the Sableye, and then checking the calcs. If Heavy Slam is an Oko at +1.
Yeah, I do think Lumberry is ideal here. Lumberry, Lumberry because it's good for like T-Wave Willow on Rotom as well, or like T-Wave on Registeel or something. The only other like
Or Togekiss, who knows?
yeah, like yeah, you can get Flamethrower Burn maybe, or just again T-Wave. So yeah, I do think Lumberry is pretty good here. It can work in a lot of situations. It's just if there is a Sableye, maybe like when you bring in River Room at one point, like maybe you just attack the first time. You don't just go for the Shift Gear, especially if they're kind of holding it in the back. But it just depends on the game state, man, and how everything goes. But I do think Lumberry, yeah, is a solid item here. We'll throw Heavy Slam on there for now, but we'll check the calcs later. So I'm assuming we can go Adamant here just to check calcs because at +2 speed we should still be able to outspeed like. Okay, if Chinpow's
Yeah,
choice.
in the previous weeks where I've brought Revroom, I've never needed to go Jolly.
Yeah. So worst case, like literally worst case, is if Chien-Pao is choice scarfed, it would speed creep this guy because it's not gonna. Lopunny can't be scarfed, obviously. So let's check real quick. So that would literally just be Ogre Pun, like +1, right? But I'm pretty sure, yeah, we can go Adamant and still outspeed this. 526. So +2. Yeah, we don't have to go. It would be like that, and the rest in somewhere else. So if we want to make sure we outspeed, Choice Scarf Chien-Pao. I don't think Choice Scarf Chien-Pao is the best here, but it is a possibility.
Yeah, all that's really doing is hold. Well,
Yeah.
I guess it is getting guaranteed outspeed on Lop. I never know what to do when two mons have the same speed tier.
Yeah.
I never know if I should invest for the speed tie.
Yeah, if it's a matchup like this where Chien-Pao versus Lopunny, basically whoever's faster is gonna kill the other one, it probably is worth it. Unless you think like your team can guard very well versus like a Chien-Pao where you don't have to risk it. But if not, then yeah, I usually do just go for the speed tie because it could come down to that.
My team is better off than most versus Chien-Pao because I have a Primarina, but
yeah,
I
do
not want to give that thing any wiggle room.
Yeah, so FizzDef Primarina seems pretty good then for Chien-Pao. You could go Weezing too, but I think it does get Psychic Fangs, right? I believe so. I could double check real quick. I'm pretty sure. I don't really play a lot of Chien-Paos because they're normally banned. Yeah, that does get Psychic Fangs. So yeah, but I do think FizzDef Prim is pretty good. Let's say they're banded. How much are we doing like crunch to Prima? That's actually not too bad. It's not even a 3-shot really if you have leftovers. So unless hazards are up, and then once like they're banded, it's a lot easier to deal with in my opinion. So it gets Swords Dance, right? That's probably like the worst case.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's probably the worst build, like because Swords Dance was Ice Shard, and then Crunch and something else. Crunch, Psychic Fangs would probably be the set if I had to guess. That could be a bit scary, but we'll throw.
My first thought of the backup contingency for that is like Bandit, Aqua Jet, Crawdaunt, but I don't know the calcs for that. Just
big Crawdaunt.
I think that's the strongest priority option I have.
Yeah, it's just Crawdaunt
unless I'm doing like first impression Spy Dogs.
Oh god, yeah, no, I don't think that's.
Yeah,
that's more for like a meme game maybe, but yeah, this is definitely a good like win condition to build around. So I do think Primarina is needed here. We might not have to go fully FizzDef. Like if we're gonna be leftovers, we could just have enough HP to have like a, like the rule for like a good leftovers number, or no?
Divided by 16 plus 1.
You could, yeah, you could do that, or you can just do evenly into 16. Some people do as well. So, but yeah, so 204 is 352 over 16 is even. So we could just do +1, I think. So around there. We'll just do like this and just kind of look at the calcs from the CVs right now and just see um, how much we're doing. Because like, can FizzDiff per marina also check anything else?
Not the Ogre Pawn Primate, if he brings that.
Yeah. I mean, it's good though because Chimpao is obviously going to come, and then it's also probably going to be your switch into Sableye if it comes. I think Sableye can definitely come too because like it'll take a lot of damage from like just a Dragapult hit, but it does kind of stop the Dragapult from just clicking like Dragon Dance or whatever for free, you know.
I have a lot of potential setup mons, so yeah, Prankster Encore is
yeah, or even sub too. Yeah, he can just encore you to that. Even like Sableye is really good into Necrozma, right? Like it doesn't get a fairy move, you know. So I can definitely see Sableye coming, either FizzDef or Spidef. I don't know. So, but yeah, this is pretty good. I think we definitely need Scald, right, and Moonblast. Oops, Moonblast. We could be Rest Talk if you think you're gonna be heavily pressured. We could just be Flip Turn. Could be Energy Ball, but we're probably not gonna outspeed that Rotom anyway. It could be Encore, like Flip Turn
I'm
with
thinking,
Encore.
Putting Psychic Noise on there in case I need that for like a setting up Mega like a Latios or something.
So in that regard,
might not be a great idea.
In that regard, if you do want something to kind of stop the setup, I do think Encore is actually probably better than Psychic Noise. Yeah. But ideally, you don't really want Primarina versus that guy because you need Prim for unless they just sack their Chimpao for some reason. But we can do Psychic Noise / Encore if you want, for sure. And then what do you think for the last slot? It could be Flip Turn, it could be Aqua Jet, it could be like Hydro Pump, Energy Ball.
I like putting sub on things just in case I can get something out of that, but it might not. Like that's usually my default. I need a 4th move.
It depends because sub on Prim might not be ideal because you need the health.
Yeah, I don't think that's great here.
Yeah, you need the health as much as possible because Chimpao is just that scary. So, I don't think Haze would ever be really useful here. We can just leave the last slot for now. We can do, I think, Encore if you're scared of some sort of setup. But again, realistically, you're gonna just be switching it into these two guys. So, but okay, so that's fine for now. We'll do the.
I don't think Flip Turn's ever bad.
It's not bad, but again, if you Flip Turn versus Chimpao and they just stay in, that's really scary. So you just gotta be careful. Yeah. Speed wise, I don't think there's any point of having speed.
Maybe a few points to just speed creep something that's speed creeping min speed Prim.
Like Registeel, maybe? Registeel, it wouldn't be Sableye. It would have to just be Registeel. Which,
just in case.
Yeah, and Encore could be useful in case of like maybe they're like an Iron Defense Registeel or something too. You know, whatever. You know, you never know.
Yeah.
So we could do that, and then we'll just chuck the rest in Special Attack for now. But that's fine. We'll check back later, obviously. So, what else is kind of sticking out here? Low Pony looks really good. All you need is stabs, really, right? Just return CC.
Another thing that's sticking out to me is, they have. Wait a sec. I might be misremembering. They have all 3 hazards, so I think I always like having Rapid Spin, but especially when they have a Spiker that is actually not a Spidops.
Yeah. I agree. I think Treads is good here. I think a good item on Treads here too. Just looking at it is Air Balloon. Do you see kind of why I think Air Balloon is good here?
For Nido.
Yeah, because if you look at Nido versus your team, right? What moves do you think Nido King's gonna have?
Earth Power and probably Volt Beam.
Volt Beam. I don't know if he'll have. I think if he's gonna have, I think Sludge Wave is just better than Thunderbolt here. because Sludge Wave
Yeah,
is still gonna do
yeah.
a shitload to Crawdon anyway. Plus you're gonna Aqua Jet, so that his attack probably wouldn't even matter. Sludge Wave also hits like Necrozma the hardest, you know. So I think Earth Power is fair. I think Sludge Wave is fair. Could be one hazard, either like a Toxic Spike maybe or Rocks, and then Ice Beam makes sense. Yep, could be Sucker Punch as well for Dragapult perhaps slash Necrozma. But what I'm trying to get at is there's no reason for them to have Flamethrower. So I think an Air Balloon on Treads could potentially catch that Nidoking off guard, and it could give you a free turn basically if they can't hit you. You know.
Now I'm looking at like bot Treads has really good coverage, I think, except for the Latios. And wait, no, never mind, it doesn't. I was just looking at. Never mind.
Well, I think honestly, I think Rapid Spin. So you want Rapid Spin, obviously, but I think
Yeah.
Rapid Spin plus Stab and then plus Mega Horn, I think is a pretty good 3 attacks for the entire team. The only thing that you can't really hit too hard is Rotom, but you can't really do much to Rotom anyway. And then Sableye, would you could hit with like a heavy slam is a 120 base power versus it. So I mean, it could still do a good chunk to it.
Stabilize the defenses of a wet noodle.
Yeah, so I think that's a pretty good set here. I think just an offensive treads, honestly, because we could check the calcs, honestly. Iron treads, and I think you could actually go adamant here, right? Like, so the only reason why you wouldn't go adamant is for Primeape and Pyroar. So
Pyroar did get 4 kills in one game at one point.
who did treads?
Pyroar.
Oh, Pyroar. Well, I don't know what the guy was doing. That's kind of crazy, but hey, you know, if it works, it works.
It popped off, so I'm gonna respect it.
Yeah. So I do want to check adamant calcs. Just let's say we're this coverage. Mega Horn. Now again, it's another inaccurate move, Mega Horn, which sucks, but you know, sometimes you have to. So obviously Mega Horn's gonna kill Chien-Pao. It'll die to Earthquake after Rocks, which is fine. How much are we doing to Mega Latios? Okay, so Mega Latios is probably gonna die as. Oh wait, this is. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say like you rapid spin to get a boost, speed boost. Spin into Mega Horn should kill this. If it's max HP, you probably need, you know, Hazard Chip or something, but it still does a good chunk. Plus our item, I do think Balloon is best, but you could technically be like Expert Belt or something if you just think an offensive set is just better. Rotom is going to be the Pokemon that you're probably just not going to do a ton to, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just, if it hits the Hydro, I'm dead.
Yeah, you're just dead. You probably don't want to risk that, you know. But everything else, like Nidoking's going to die. We don't got to check that. Ogerpon's going to probably die, right? Realistically, it should die. Togekiss.
When doing these calcs, what do you do for, like, their defenses? I don't...
So...
I have always just been doing, like, absolute max defensive as just in case, but I'm sure there's a better way to do it.
Well, I think it depends on the Pokemon. Like, for example, like, we just checked Mega Latios, right? Did you see what I did with the EVs when I checked?
You checked with and without max HP?
Yeah, I did 0 bulk and then I did max HP. Because when you think of Mega Latios, right, like it can, don't get me wrong, like you don't want to ever like say there's no way this thing is going to be like max defensive. But realistically, it's not going to be max defensive, right? Like it's going to be maybe max HP if it's a bulkier set with some defense, but I don't think there's any merit in checking a Pokemon like Mega Latios for max defense because 99 times out of 100, like it's not gonna matter. Plus, like, okay, if it's max defense, what are you gonna do with your EVs, right? You can't like give it more than the max already, you know. So I usually just check if it's like an offensive Pokemon. Generally, I'll check like very little bulk, like no HP, or just like a max HP. If it's something like Rotom or Togekiss or Registeel that usually runs like max in one stat or can, I'll check max like in that stat. So it just depends on what type of Pokemon it is. And then after kind of looking at the matchup a bit later, you can kind of see like maybe some sort of Pokemon like Registeel is going to be probably their best Dragapult answer, slash Togekiss might be their best Dragapult answer. And then Togekiss, realistically, if it's the Dragapult answer, it's going to be more Spadef because physical Dragapult doesn't really do too much to Togekiss, right? I guess you
Mhm.
can run Steel Wing now, like because it's NatDex, right? So it still has Steel Wing. But
Yeah.
realistic, even just looking real quick, I think Special Dragapult's a lot better here. So, like, you can kind of try to think of like what EVs they're gonna invest in. But um, that just takes time. Like, that just takes practice as much as you do it, and like you'll get better and kind of identifying what you think they're gonna bring. But again, you never want to assume. I just like to check general, EV spreads, nothing too crazy. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, going back to treads, I do think this set is pretty good. It kills like pretty much everything besides Rotom if it's at +1 speed. So Primate probably tanks if it's full HP too. Registeel will tank, but the thing with Registeel here is, so I think Registeel is probably one of the best like checks to Dragapult. Because even if you run like a Specs Shadow Ball, for example, like it's probably only gonna do like 30 to Registeel. So I do think
Yeah.
having things on your team like Trez or like Lopunny just to kind of hit Dragapult down, or even Rev like our win condition is Rev right? Like how much is +1 plus from high horsepower gonna do to Registeel? Let's see. Okay, so this is Spidef Registeel. This isn't even Fizdef. So it does 60. We'll check Fizdef too. Does about half. So like we want things on our team that can hit Registeel for good damage. So offensive Treads is good. Flamethrower Dragapult's good. Lopunny would be good. Things like that. Maybe Heatwave on Necrozma if we bring it. Like, you want to build teams that can kind of take down what your win condition can't just kill by itself, if that makes
Like
sense.
put a bunch of crush, like
Yeah.
basically put things that are like several other mons that are also checked only by Registeel to get chip on it.
Yeah, yeah. Or like, let's say you have Dragapult in versus Registeel, and Registeel is probably like, it's pretty healthy. Let's say it's like 70 to 80% healthy, right? And you have a Specs Dragapult here with Flamethrower. So you could do maybe like 40 to 50. You won't kill it, but you can do like 40 to 50, let's say. But they might T-Wave you. If you look and you get that damage off of Registeel, which means like everything else is in range of Reverum, like you want to take that trade. I know getting parried is never good, especially on a Pokemon like Dragapult, but it's just putting things in range of your win condition is your main goal throughout the battle, is what you should be thinking of, if that makes sense.
Well, if Lop only needs stabs, I could maybe put Heal Bell.
Yeah, you could. Actually, yeah, let's do Lopunny, because I think Lopunny is pretty easy to build here. I think just
Lop
return.
is all. Lop is always kind of just plug and play.
Yeah, are you a CC or high jump kick type of guy?
Oh, close combat every day.
Okay, me too. So there may be a calc where that 10% power comes in, but just missing man or protect is just so brutal. So um, something too, I think Lopunny can run. I know you just said Heal Bell, which is an option. I was also looking at just Fake Out plus Quick Attack to out prioritize Chien-Pao, if that's such like a big threat, because Fake Out plus Quick Attack can do a lot of damage to a lot of things, and they can't do anything about it. You can be absolute max speed because Quick Attack and Ice Shard I think is the same priority, but
Yes, there.
I honestly think because we have our Primarina as like a pretty good Fizdef check to Chien-Pao, I think going Adamant on Lopunny, like just to make sure you outspeed Latios, is that damage could definitely be like significant. So like we can check versus Chien-Pao. Like Fake Out plus Quick Attack to Chien-Pao probably does like half, I think, if I had to just take a random guess. So like, and then if you have Hazards up and it's not Boots, like it's gonna do a lot. Yeah. So Fake Out and Quick Attack is the same damage. So mid roll is like 32. So you would do like over 60 with just that combo alone. So
And I don't like super need Lop for things.
no, I think using Dragapult to like with like a U-turn, like I do think maybe Specs or just it could be like you could run like a sub Willow like Hex set here is pretty good too because they don't have the greatest Hex resist. It's just
I'm
Chien-Pao.
seeing a lot of physical attackers. There's Chen-Pao, there's the Ogre, the Primate, and the Registeel.
Mm-hmm.
Latios doesn't like the chip.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was gonna say like that looks like a pretty good set, like sub Willow Hex. Or if you want to run specs with a U-turn just to get in your low pony like as much as possible to chip things for Rev Room, we can see kind of what else we can come up with. But I think those are probably the two best Dragapult sets going into it. I think we're probably going to have to use Necrozma, one as our rocker, but two probably as just Spadef for the Latios when we get to it, just because right now we don't like, just Latios seems pretty strong into the team we have right now. So, but we'll get to it. So for turn CC, do you want Fake Out Quick Attack? Do you want something Heal Bell? What are you thinking here? There's a lot of moves Opponent gets. You could do Encore, you could do Healing Wish, you could do a coverage move. I don't think you need a coverage move though. Says this team. Unless you want, like, I don't know, Iron Tail for Togekiss. Oh, I guess Triple Axle would be better, but yeah.
I think Fake Out, because that's always faster than an Ice Shard.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to look at what I miss out on by not running other things. Maybe put a T-Wave on it for if I'm in versus Latios and I don't need Lop for something else.
T-Wave.
Maybe not.
T-Wave. I mean, it could work. You basically just be trading your Latios for a para because realistically they'll probably kill you. But the thing is, so if you're gonna run T-Wave, I think something like Triple Axle is just straight up better because you kill it. So I guess you
That's
could.
fair, yeah.
I guess you could miss T-Wave, but again you can miss both too. So, could do Triple Axle. Yeah, I think it's between like because Axle also does a lot of damage to Togekiss too. So
Volt Turn might act like U-turn spam might also be good here. Like with Lop U-turn, Pult U-turn.
like just back and forth kind of.
Super have like something they're switching in isn't really going to be able to immediately heal it off, I don't think.
Yeah, so what do we think they're switching to low pony is going to be? They don't really have a great one. Like Fizdef Togekiss? Do you two-shot Togekiss?
My first thought would be Rotom Wash.
Well, I think Rotom Wash probably gets two-shot, especially if you're adamant. If you CC, it does get two-shot, yeah.
Oh, and that's Max Fizdef too.
Yeah, Togekiss probably takes two though, and then it could just roost, which is annoying. Oops, not max attack. Yeah, I'd definitely take two returns. How about Triple Axle?
Yeah.
So you do have to. So return into Axle can definitely kill it. You do have to hit all three though. So I do think maybe having Axle is good for Lottie and then Togekiss too.
Yeah.
So that would be.
I don't think I'm super missing out. I don't think I'm missing out a huge amount by not having Quick Attack. Okay, if I didn't have Prim, I would probably definitely do Fake Out and Quick Attack. But
yeah.
Because I have one of the few kind of Chen Pao checks, I feel I have a bit more freedom in not having everything, not putting anti-Chen Pao countermeasures on every single thing I had.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I think Axel's good though. So here's another, like, do you want to just go absolute max speed or do you want to go adamant here? And what I would do if you go adamant is I wouldn't just speed creep down to Latios, like to go to 351 because it's 350 max. I'd probably do a little bit more, like 355 or something, because Chien-Pao, realistically, Chien-Pao's probably, if it's going to creep, it's going to creep down to Treads, not Jumpluff, just because Ice Shard will just annihilate that thing. So it's just, if you think it's worth just to go max with that guy, because it could come down, that could mean a difference, but then you're just not adamant. That's the only difference.
Not adamant means I miss out on the 2-hit KO on Fizdef Rotom Wash.
Yeah, as well as Togekiss.
Going max speed means best case scenario means I win a coin flip.
Yeah, which again we have a pretty good Chien-Pao answer. So and again, Fake Out will still always go first too. And it doesn't have recovery or anything. So what do we say Chimp Out does? Like Fake Out does if we're adamant. Yeah, it does 30 minimum. So if especially so if it's not boots too and you get rocks up, like
Then it's below half.
yeah, so literally like 2 fake outs will probably just kill it, So and honestly, so Chimp Out could also be a Rev Room target to set up because it doesn't want. There's no way it one shots Rev Room. I don't think it doesn't get a ground move. It can taunt. I highly doubt it's gonna have taunt here, but it can. So even if Chimpao is like, let's say your low pony's dead or something, and Chimpao is still alive, you could always use it as a setup target for Rev Room. Might not be ideal because Crunch will probably do a ton of damage. We can check, I suppose, real quick how much Crunch does. Okay, Banded Crunch might actually kill you. It's close. It's close. So, but you would know prior, obviously, if it's banded at that point. Plus,
Yeah,
maybe they're locked.
My room till the end.
Yeah, doesn't have to be necessarily like you win with that, but you want to basically know, like, you want a lot of information about all their sets before you kind of just send this in. For example, too, like if you don't know the Rotom is, it could be a trick or something, right? So you want to just make sure it either switches up moves or something before you kind of just, because you're Lumberry, so realistically that could be another setup target. Like it can't, Hydro Pump's not going to one-shot you unless it's like Specs, which again, that's something that you should know before you just send it in to try to set up on it. Yeah, so this is no boosting, so Specs will kill you. I know we're no HP, but we're probably not going to have too much HP anyway. So yeah, it's just knowing information and then all that stuff. So do you think Adamant's better here for Lop, or
yeah,
you want to go?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I think this is a good speed, and then we can chuck. So when deciding to chuck in like max HP, like the rest in HP or another stat, generally the stats that are lowest, so like we're only 65 HP compared to 94 defense, 96 but up, will give you like better rolls if you put it in the lower stat. We can check like specific calcs, like which Pokemon do we think low pony is going to take hits from. Probably, I mean,
my first thought would be to put it into, like, if we're not putting in HP, put it into FizzDef for Chien-Pao Ice Shard.
Chien-Pao Ice Shard, yeah, we can check right now how much that's going to do to us. So we'll just say it's Boots for now. We'll say Adamant just for worst case. Mega Lopunny. Ice Shard is doing that much. So if we're, what do we got, like 60? 60 left over. So 35 to 42.
Yeah, invest defense.
Yeah.
Lopunny for Chien-Pao is a fool's errand.
Yeah, so that's only saving us like 2%.
Yeah.
That's the roll. Let's see if we do it. Okay, so now if you look, it's actually like the same thing, see? Because your HP is so low. So 33.5 to 40. And then let's check defense. 33.2. So it's like 0.3 better for defense. So it's,
put it in HP then.
It's not a huge difference. So I do think HP is probably best here. So this is a pretty standard set, yeah, but I do think this is literally like your best set, right? Like just return CC, they don't have switch-ins. I think, let's say your versus, like, I don't know. Realistically, you're going to be clicking return and then like either CC or Axel into whatever they switch into, right? Like they just don't have, because like return into their normal resist are Registeel.
Yeah.
It's literally it. So return into CC will blow that thing back. So literally return is just always, or fake out obviously is always a good clicker. You don't want to, you want to be careful with fake out. I see this a lot of times. People like think about fake out and they're just like, oh, it's free damage. Yes.
But then they switch and you would have ended up doing more damage.
Yes. So if you know they're switching, or if you know you're faster and it kills or whatever, just click return. Don't worry about fake out. Fake out's realistically going to be for either Chien-Pao or maybe Latios is DD'd up or something, or like a Scarf Togekiss maybe, you know. It just realistically just return is always good if you know you're faster. So I think this is a pretty good start to the team. I think so. This is me just okay. So I think we need treads too. We didn't put treads yet, but assuming treads is there, I think I mean,
We
realistically,
need rocks.
yeah, I think just Polt Necro makes the most sense to round out the team. Necro's your rocker slash Pokemon that's probably going to end up switching into Latios initially. And then Polt is also
Which
just an offensive Pokemon with like momentum.
I don't
And
know what Necro can super do to Latios
there's
though.
there's not there's not a set that's just going to check every
X-Scissor, I
Latios.
guess.
I don't even think so. So again, we still want to think of like ways to, because Sableye again, like we said, is probably the biggest like way is the biggest like problem to having your ever room win. So I think having an Necrozma. What do you think is a good move here for that Sableye that could kind of catch it? Like, because again, realistically, like Sableye can like check Necrozma pretty well. Any setup one it can encore or just attacks. Like, there's no
And
really
it can taunt.
yeah, there's no really hard hitting move for Necrozma to hit Sableye.
Yeah.
But this is
So
NatDex.
when in doubt, click Toxic.
Yeah, I do think Toxic is really good here. It can catch Sableye, or it can just, as long as the Latios isn't sub, I suppose. Just like Toxic is pretty solid here. Obviously, Registeel is the one thing that, um, you're not gonna really do too much. But again, it's not the end of the world, because you could run something like Knockoff, you know. So just because Knockoff does prevent the Latios from subbing on you, right? Like if they try to sub and you Knockoff, then you can Toxic the next turn, right? They're not gonna just click sub again when they know you can break it, you know. And Knockoff is really good just because if they switch into things like Sableye or like Registeel, like you knock off the item, that's always a good thing, right? If they switch into Sableye, you knock off. Like another situation where I think it's worth just staying in and Toxicing, even if they Thunder Wave you or do something, because a Toxic on Sableye is just like one step again closer to Rev Room winning.
Yeah.
Toxic is also pretty good for Rotom Wash, because again, we said Rotom Wash is the one Pokemon that's like kind of stopping your treads from going crazy. So I do think Necro with Toxic is a solid way to kind of whittle things down for your other Pokemon. So if this is your set, if it's gonna be like a more bulkier Pokemon, like even if you're Morning Sun last year, I don't think that's a terrible like set. Like I know you're Mono Knockoff, for example, but if you just look at this set, right, like okay, so your only attack is Knockoff, but they're
My
not.
one concern is becoming setup fodder.
Okay, by which Pokemon you think?
Ogerpon maybe?
So that is definitely a concern, especially if we have like, what do we say, Dragapult Treads is last. Like if this was the team we brought, Treads. So yes, we don't really have like a switch into Ogerpon. Like you don't really want to switch in your win condition. I don't know if the Ogerpon's gonna run. It can run a ground move. I think it's high horsepower. So let's look at Ogerpon and let's look at your team. What coverage do you think Ogerpon's gonna run? It's gonna run grass move.
Knock.
It's gonna run knockoff.
Knock probably for Necro and Bolt.
Okay, but then it also needs Zen Headbutt for Wheezing Galar. It needs a ground move for Reverum. And then...
And Tread gets smacked by a big cudgel.
Yeah. And then
this...
So if they just run 4 attacks, like they can't run Trailblaze, they can't run SD, they can't run U-turn. So they're...
4 spikes.
Yeah, the Ogerpon's gonna have 4 move syndrome here. Move slot syndrome. So I don't think a setup Ogerpon is like makes a lot of sense here, because there's just not enough moves that unless like they kind of do how we do, or like we have Rev Room as their win condition. Ogerpon's not going to be their win condition. It just doesn't make sense. But I suppose they can build around like killing the Pokemon that the coverage moves they selected can't hit, you know? So Ogerpon can definitely, that's probably one of the better Pokemon into the 6 that we're bringing if we bring the 6. It's just they have to find an opportunity, because like 1v1 Reverum beats Ogerpon, right? Lopunny does kill Ogerpon. Dragapult, if we're Flamethrower, if we're Specs, or just offensive with like darts, I don't think Knockoff one-shots Dragapult, and we'll definitely 2-shot. If we're Megahorn, we beat it with Ogerpon. So it's even though yes, if it does set up, like it looks pretty good into our team, like it's hard. The only Pokemon I can really like confidently set up on is Prim, and we do have
I could
Encore.
smack an ice. Oh, last move, ice move, I guess.
You could do Ice Move, yeah. Uh, Another thing, yeah, I just realized too, you can Moonblast, and if you get the drop, it's Defiant. But if you're in a position where Prim isn't, and you feel like your team is vulnerable to setup Ogerpon, you're slower, so you can just freely click Encore if you want. And then basically, if they click anything but Grass Move to kill you, you lock them in to that, which is nice. So
Hmm.
it is pretty hard for them to set up with this Pokemon that we have. Versus Necro, it just depends what you think they're gonna do. You could just stay in a try Toxic, so they can't just set up for free. Um,
I think that's what I would have to do in that situation.
yeah, that's fine. And even if they click like Sub or something, we can be infiltrated with like Flamethrower too. So they'd have to be like Sub Trailblaze or something. Which, dude, again, they need so many coverage moves. Like that's not
Yeah.
a realistic set here. So yes, on paper it definitely does look kind of scary, but I do think your team guards pretty well versus Ogerpon. So I think yeah. So we said Necro to be more Spadef for that Lottie. It could also check Nido
Yeah.
too, pretty good. We don't have Photon Geyser, but we can just knock off the Life Orb if it has it, and then we can probably just Morning Sun it because we're gonna probably be very bulky. I think Leftovers is ideal here. Do you think any other item is good here?
I've heard people talk about how citrus berry is better than lefties in like 95% of cases. I don't know how true
Okay,
that is.
so do you know like why? So Citrus Berry has definitely been on the rise this gen, but you have to think about your Pokemon, right? So this thing, you got to think how many turns is Necrozma going to be in this game? Like it's a very Spadef Pokemon, so it could come in versus Lottie, Rotom, Nido, Togekiss. I guess it might be in versus Sableye or something. So I think Necro is going to be in a lot of turns this game, to where
I guess
leftovers
my
would
main
actually.
concern is like once it clicks knock the first time, I'm sending it in again. What's it gonna do? I guess toxic, but
Yeah, it could toxic. You want to get rocks up too, so you might even be clicking rocks first before knockoff. It just depends. But I do think Necro is going to be on the field a lot of turns this game, to where I think leftovers would heal more than a citrus berry. I think if it people usually go with citrus if they feel like their Pokemon's not going to take too many
if it's
hits
like they need
or
to turn a 2-hit KO into a 3-hit KO type situation.
yeah, that too. Yeah. So that citrus berry would definitely help, but I do think this is a leftovers angle here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We probably don't need max like just Spadef. We could run some speed actually to speed creep like no speed Rotom. I think is ideal because being faster than Rotom would actually be very very big here to toxic it first
Yeah,
before it or just knock it off or
especially
whatever.
since it is it's the defensive Rotom sets that are the most threatening to me, I think.
Yes. Yep. I agree. So let's check how much zero speed is. 208. So a lot of people sometimes they do like to run like 4 just in case, or even 8. So maybe going to like 211 on Necro could be the play here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I do think you want max Def and then bulky. We'll check the calcs though. This is just a quick. Oh, not that quick spread. So let's check versus their threats how this set does. Actually, you know what we should do probably for HP is make sure the number is
Odd.
left. Well, we want lefties friendly here. So actually, I think it'd be
I guess take it.
196. Hold on, let me take this
I,
out real quick. Because it's
I'd
384,
rather
right?
take it out as the death, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. I was just trying to get the number. This is 19, right? 384 over 16 is 19. So, yeah, let's do that. Okay, so like that. Let's see. All right, so let's check Nidoking first. Okay, so actually even with the life orb, it doesn't even... It's close, but you would knock it, and then you
Yeah,
should be
that
able...
is modest. That is yeah, that Nido set is
Yeah,
modest.
that's the
So
hardest it's going to be hitting you. Yeah. Okay, so that's good. So yeah, this is a pretty good Nido. Again, we're going to have our air balloon treads too, but it's just nice to have another thing for it. So Latios Mega is going to be the big thing. So Draco, obviously will do a lot, but it'll take the drop. I'm thinking if it's like, so what Lottie said is actually going to come here, you think?
uh
It could be anything, because it has Mystical Fire too, right, for treads and
yeah,
Reva.
one thing I'm seeing is that in terms of psychic move resists, I have treads and Crawdont.
And
So
Necro too.
oh yeah, whoops.
Yeah. And I
Okay,
guess
I was
Reverum.
gonna say, so maybe they might be going like a stored power set. No, no, they're
Yeah.
not.
We
I
do
don't even
have
know if Latios gets stored power.
uh
I
um,
see psychic type. I think is stored power gonna kill me.
yeah, it does have stored power, yeah. Yeah, so cover I mean it could just be, man, I don't know.
Honestly, like psychic move, Draco, mystical fire, flip turn.
Could be, yeah, or just Roost maybe instead. But it'd be hard for them to be like a Calm Mind Roost here, because I think they need more than 2 attacks. I mean, I guess they could just be Stab, but then it's just something like Treads, they don't hit incredibly hard. And Reverum, I guess. Maybe like a Dragon
Part of me
Dance.
wants to put assault vest on treads, but that just means I die to Nido King.
Yeah, I think you probably wouldn't get one shot because of the AV, but it'd be pretty close. Let me think here. They could be Dragon Dance, maybe, like just so they outspeed. So they would be like DD, Dragon Claw, Earthquake.
I'm thinking they have a usually Pult forces a Scarfer is what I found.
So if I had to decide a Scarfer, it'd probably be Togekiss. Ogerpon Scarf, it doesn't seem too good here.
Yeah, because it needs all those moves.
Yeah, it would probably have to be Togekiss. How's your flying resist? It's just the steel types. You don't have an electric type or a rock type.
Rev resists it too. Yeah, I don't have the best type diversity on this draft.
Yeah, these are 2 steel types. So yeah, maybe like a Scarf Ash Slash could be annoying, and they could bring that on their side for sure. Does that? Yeah, that does outspeed Lopunny. Yeah, yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, so I mean, so even like something like this, that this would probably be your best like way to deal with that. Let me see how much it's
Yeah,
doing.
and I can knock off the Scarf,
Yeah, that's not doing much.
assuming I make it past the flinches.
Yeah, they'd have to flinch you like 4 times, probably. So, and you're getting lefties recovery too. So, yeah, I think Spidef Necro makes a lot of sense then. Here. So, yeah, again, it's just maybe so. I'm trying to think what's fodder. Like, I guess Togekiss with substitute this set would be not good. But again, just sub is kind of great. Like, you have Infiltrator on this guy. So, I don't know if they're going to really run too much sub. They could. But realistically, I think Knock plus Toxic is pretty good here. Again, you just knock the
There's definitely
Registeel.
issues with it, but I don't think I don't think there is a better set.
Yeah, unless you just don't want recovery on this set. You could run like one more coverage move maybe. Like Heat Wave maybe or something.
Well, uninvested, it's not hitting hard anyway.
No. Yeah. We could just stick with this then for now.
Yeah, I think that's our best bet here.
Okay, so this is pretty good. Dragapult, let's do Trez. Trez is probably easy. So we said Air Balloon, so this is going to be the initial.
Rapid Spin, Mega Horn,
Yeah.
Heavy Slime, yeah.
So do you want to go, do you want to Speed Tie, just max the Pyroar? Do you want to outspeed Primeape, or do you want to go Adamant for Nido King? You can decide here.
I do not like the idea of being outsped by the Rotom Wash and just eating a Hydro Pump.
Well, Adamant still outspeeds, I think. Rotom
Oh,
Wash.
okay.
I think. I'll double check. It should. You're 20 points faster. Yeah, it does 311. I think Rotom is 298.
Yeah, that sounds right, yeah.
Yeah, so it would just be for Pyroar and Primeape, which are technically 2 Pokemon that can just kill you. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just what you think is worth. I don't know this guy. I don't know how many times he's brought Pyro and Primeape, so
Okay, I'll look at that after. I know he brought Pyro once and it kind of popped off, but I don't think he's brought Primate. I'll
mm,
have to look after this. But like apart from the treads, they don't look great into me. Like
so
fighting types are kind of are like fighting stab is not good into
yeah,
me.
you have Wheezing, Prima, Necro, like
Holt.
yeah. So so do you want to just go absolute max then just for the Pyro? Because like I guess technically like if they do bring Pyro, like
Well, again, that'll only come into play if they bring Pyro and if I win the coin flip.
yeah. How much is
I
Pyro doing in Necro too? Necro might be pretty like important here actually based on what they bring. Uh,
yeah.
it doesn't do too much. It gets like what workup or something, right?
Yeah, Workup is its only setup option.
Yeah, so I'd have to work
Which he
up.
has brought.
You have to like work up and then land two, and even then it might not two shot you. So yeah, I don't think that's a problem if you have Necrozma. Again, it's just when you get into the battle, you have to look at what they bring and kind of decide. Like, is Necro gonna mainly check the Latios,
How
a
much do I need
Togekiss,
my
Pyro?
different pieces here?
Yeah, yeah. So, but it's like it's hard. They can't bring everything. Like you expect what Shinpao for sure to come. You expect probably Latios to come. Probably Nidoking to come. Or actually, not guaranteed Nino. Probably the top three, I would say. And I think
Yeah,
Togekiss is
probably
pretty
one of
likely. I
them.
think Togekiss is pretty likely, and then Sableye. I think those five, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, are probably what I would expect, and then probably a Rocker as the last, Nidoking or Reggie. I think.
Yeah. Primate also gets rocks.
What the hell? Okay, well,
Yeah, it does.
oh yeah, I guess because what's it called? Well, Annihilate has it too, right? But yeah, the whole speed is just if you feel like your team isn't.
I can eat Pyro hits. Like, Frame can also kind of just eat Pyro hits even when it's not especially defensive.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I don't. I said earlier that that'll respect the Pyro. I'm rescinding that. It's a Pyro.
Okay. So you want to just outspeed the Rotom, right?
Yeah. Maybe like look at calcs to see like if I do this, am I underspeeding anything after a rapid spin?
Oh, so if you would speed this, so you'd go right to 450, pretty much. So 450, no, like you're gonna outspeed everything, whatever. And then if like Chimpao or Ogerpon is Scarf, like you're never gonna outspeed those anyway. So
True.
it's it's just mainly first speed creeping Rotom, yeah. But again, you can't do a whole ton to Rotom. Like we can check real quick how much if you were just max H or max attack, how much we're doing. I think we Megahorn did like what, like 30 or something
Yeah.
to max defense. So let's see. Yeah, to 30. So
Yeah.
spin into, I mean that's 40% if you do spin into Megahorn combo. But realistically, your play
That
would
means I'm stacking my treads at that point.
well, yeah, you don't want to just do that early. Realistically, like let's say you
Yeah.
spin and they bring in Rotom, you would probably make the play into Necro because they do kind of have to predict it because they can't just Volt Switch versus Treads. They might just pump. And if they do pump into Necro, like it's not going to do a whole ton if they're not invested. Like 25, but
Like worst thing they do to Necro is Will-O-Wisp it, but that just means I don't have my lefties.
yeah, like that's fine. Because then you get pretty much a free rocks, or you get, I mean, any of your 3 clicks could be good. It just depends.
Yeah.
So I mean, rocks are pretty good, especially if they have both Togekiss and Shampoo, because just finding out if they're boots or not is really good information. Plus, they do have to take a turn to defog too, unless they want to just spikes and just T spikes you instead. But T spikes are never going to affect you as long as you keep this thing. As long they could have a coverage move maybe, but them just kind of when you first bring it in initially, they're not gonna. There's no way they're gonna just hit you with a coverage move. They're probably gonna either hazards or earth power, I think. So, or Sludge Wave. They're probably going to expect Necro to be the Nidoking switch in, if I had to guess. So, I doubt they're going to click like, Ice Beam or something, right? So,
Mhm.
and if they do have Toxic Spikes, they're probably going to go for that right away. So, like the first time Nidoking is in, so then you'll know. And then that's one less move that they have that could potentially hit the Air Balloon. So, I think
Well,
it's,
then it's a good thing my Reverie isn't air balloon, if that should be the case.
yeah, that's definitely an option too, because if you that would be like a perfect like setup target if your thing is balloon versus no flamethrower Nidoking. But I like we just said earlier, like you said, Lumberry. Just there's so many ways for it to proc with between Rotom, Togekiss, Sableye, you know. So I do think there's a good chance that the Lumberry does pop. But I think that's solid. Last is the Dragapult. So with the team that you have now, I guess we didn't finish Perma yet, but with the team you have now, I do think like a Dragapult that can get momentum. I think Specs looks best here, but what do you think is good here?
Uh, Looking at Ghost Resists is
Yeah,
Pyroar and Chien-Pao,
yeah.
and Chien-Pao probably takes like at least 40 from a Shadow Ball.
We could check Dragapult Spec. Oh, that's Dragalge. Uh,
One thing I find slightly annoying in the calculator is I can't just type in Pult.
yeah, you have to state the full name. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, about 40. Um, the moves I think would be actually I think it's the moves already in the builder. Yeah, it would literally be. I think these 4 moves are the best coverage wise. You wouldn't have T-Bolt, but again, Shadow Ball still hits Togekiss, not bad. What I would do probably with Pult is the first time it's in, I probably would just click Shadow Ball, not just U-turn, and then whatever they're switching, if they have like a Togekiss and that's a switch in, next time I would probably just click U-turn, and then you can literally bring in. You can either bring in Necrozma to knock off versus a Togekiss, or you could just bring in Treads to just do more
So click
damage.
Shadow Ball first to just kind of figure out what they want to do.
Yeah, because based on it all depends on what they have, but realistically, their switching is going to be either Togekiss or Registeel. It's going to be one of the two. Um, you don't unless you're in versus something like, let's say, a Latios or an Ogerpon or something where U-turn does a lot of damage anyway. Then you can click U-turn, because if they switch, you get momentum. But if you're in versus like a Nidoking at like 50% or something, you don't want to click U-turn and then have them just be willing to sack it. Like, you want to make sure you kill off what's in front of you if you can. So, right. Um, and then yeah, we definitely want Infiltrator. So let's just put in those foods for now. Draco, Flame, and U-turn. Specs. See, like it works on the item when you do it, like on the showdown, but like in the calcs, yeah, it don't matter. It doesn't work. It's stupid. I mean, I think the speed is just pretty. I think you just go faster than Chien-Pao
Yeah.
because it could be max speed for your Lopunny. So I think Tim is.
When do I like pull out the big brain thing of speed creeping something that's speed creeping something else? Like, for
If
example, speed creeping. So, like, rather than speed creeping Max Speed Nidoking, speed creeping Nido, that's speed creeping Necrozma.
I think you only do that if you can use those extra EVs for like an important calc that you save by doing that. But you also have to look at risk versus reward when you do that, because if the speed creep doesn't work out, like, people literally lose games off of, miss creeping or just like aggressively speed creeping. So I think those are like the two main things, is if you can use those EVs like very effectively somewhere else that you save, or what was the other thing I said? I just lost my train of thought. If you can use the EVs, or
Maybe if the matchups vary against you, where, like you said in
yeah.
anti videos, you need to like predict to try and give yourself a bit of an upper hand.
Yeah, that's another thing too that you can do it for sure. But I don't know. Me personally, I rarely do that. It's just what kind of player you are too is kind of into it. Like, if you're just an aggressive player, but realistically, I think you should try to avoid that, just because you don't want to lose. like yes, it can work out, but you don't want to lose a game off of just something like that you did before the game even started, you know. So
Mhm.
it's just one of those things. Maybe if you're aggressively speed creeping something that again you have like pretty like you have another Pokemon or two that can guard versus that Pokemon. So if you do get that speed creep wrong, like you're not just like totally boned, you know? Like you can still deal with that thing. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about that really too much. That's just some people that are just typically like aggressive players will do that and aggressive builders, but I'm not usually a big fan of doing that. So,
Mhm.
but I mean, you definitely can. Like, would you want to do that here? You think for something or no?
Uh, I I don't think so,
Hmm.
but that's a question I've had on my mind, and it just occurred to me to ask.
Yeah, here I don't see a situation where it would make sense to do. But there certainly are like I can like after this whole like video is done or whatever, like you can still like always like send me matchups or ask questions, and I probably will like eventually see a spot that you can do it, and then I'll like let you know why. But here I don't really think it's really worth doing in my opinion.
Mhm.
Dude, I just noticed how similar your guys like speeds are. Like the top speeds are very like that's crazy.
Oh yeah.
Like 135,
Huh.
110, 106. Like what the heck? But yeah, so I think this set is just fine. We can check the calcs too versus things if we just we're not gonna do max HP actually, but we can check. We're probably gonna do well. What type of moves is Dragapult probably gonna eat here? You could throw Dragapult in
Uh,
versus like maybe like a Rotom too, if it just Hydro Pumps or
yeah,
something.
I was thinking Spadef because
Yeah.
it dies to anything that Chinpao does regardless.
Yep. Yep.
And the rest of the team is mostly special attackers.
Yeah. You're right. I think Spit F is fair for sure. So let's just do that for now, and then let's check if we actually need max special attack. I guess the calc's already right here. So let's check versus Megaladios. How much are we doing? Do we need to Draco to kill it? Eh, if rocks are up, if it's a little chip, nah, Shadow Ball's free. What's their Shadow Ball? So let's see how much Registeel takes. Jeez. Okay.
Oh, that is max Spadef Registeel.
Yeah.
But oof,
Hmm. Okay.
beefy boy.
Yeah, it's a beefy boy. So let's say it's that time. Let's say you U-turn and then bring in your Mega Lopunny. Does CC just one-shot it? No, it doesn't. And that's Spadef too. Okay. So, yeah,
Well,
right.
luckily it can't be both.
Yeah, I know,
Well,
right?
I guess it can't. Kind of, but that means no HP. But
Yeah, so
don't do that.
it might be worth, okay, so let's say Dragapult's in and you turn and they bring in Registeel. It might be worth just going into Necrozma, for example, and just clicking knockoff. Because realistically, like, Registeel, for example, it doesn't it can't threaten Necrozma besides Toxic. Toxic would be like the worst case scenario. But like
Hmm.
if it starts like Iron Defensing, for example, you have your Encore and Prim. Like, I think if it is that set, I would. It's probably gonna speed creep like no speed Prim, but hope maybe like this 8 speed will come into handy here. That is a set that's a little bit troubling though. But if it's Iron Defense like Body Press, you could probably just go back into Pull and then just try to flamethrower it down. You know, I don't know
Yeah,
what would it be? Just like Steel move and then
I guess. Yeah.
rest. I don't know. So Dragapult would probably be okay for that. Um, but yeah, Lopunny, River Room, Treads would be pretty much walled by Iron Defense, so that'd be a little scary. Maybe if they keep the Registeel in the back for a little bit, then like you start to be careful about that. But I'm not really too sure. Um, but I do think this set's pretty good. This set's good. Um, any idea for that last one? Do you want to go Ice Beam? I think you said for
Yes, but now I'm thinking I find it is so much better to have two momentum moves instead of one
Mm-hmm.
on a team.
Yeah.
That might just
So you want
so
flip turn?
flip turn. I'm thinking.
Okay. I'm
Wait, but
just
when would I even click that?
yeah. I'm just hesitant to
That's
put
the
on it because I
question.
don't want you to click it and then like their guy just stays in and then you just pick pretty much lose a Pokemon or something. So like again, Primarina is gonna come into either Chinpao or Sableye. So versus Chien-Pao, let's say
Maybe
they crunch or something, right?
maybe protect for scouting.
You can do protect or just for another turn
Enemy
of
lefties.
leftovers. Yeah. Um. So let's say like the game's early on, right? Chien-Pao comes in, you bring in Primarina, it does like 25 or something with crunch, right? What are you clicking in that scenario when you're at like 70%?
Moonblast. Don't risk it.
Moonblast. So I think Moonblast is good. I think there's two clicks. I think Scald is actually just a little bit better because even if for some reason they stay in as if Moonblast would kill it, like Scald is still gonna do a good chunk and you can burn. So just getting a burn on their switch in I think is nice. Like their switch in's gonna be Registeel or Rotom probably. Or
Mm-hmm.
Togekiss. So because like if Scald two shot um what the heck's that thing called? Chien-Pao. You would be just like timid or something, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Chien-Pao. Surf does that much, so Scald probably does half. Yeah, so I do think Scald, like if you're really healthy, like they should switch, right? So I do think in that scenario, Scald is good because getting a burn is just always nice. If it's to the
Yeah.
point where like you're pretty
Like
low,
a good mid ground play.
yes, I think Scald is a good initial first click. Um, Plus, again, once you hit Registeel or Togekiss or Rotom on the Switch, Calc, and you can get their investment hopefully, like pretty well, and that helps you with, your other calcs going later into the game.
That is something I really need to work on in
Yeah,
my battling.
yeah. Are you good with timer or not really?
I find I pretty much never end up having to play with timer. I just rush because I'm an impulsive jackass.
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, like I said before, yeah, definitely just slowing down. As long as you're not, getting rushed by time or anything. Like, there's no reason to rush. So, just thinking about the plays, thinking about how the future turns will play out, it just helps you. So, yeah, I do think Scald would be a good initial first click. But if you're getting lower and you think they might just stay in expecting you to like Scald again or flip turn or something, then yeah, you can Moonblast. Like, that's fine. Um, so again, that last
Maybe.
slot, we still don't
Hmm,
know. Calm Mind, not
uh,
really. It could be like Aqua
hmm.
Jet maybe for like Nidoking or
Yeah, I
something.
was thinking like priority. Yeah, if I just need to finish something off.
Yeah, that could be a thing. Let's put Jet for now. Let me see what other moves it gets.
Haze, maybe. Probably not. Protect.
Oh yeah, Protect really good one too. Excuse me. Um, yeah, I think it's between Protect or Aqua Jet, whichever you like. I think is better. It doesn't matter.
I
Protect could
do have
scout.
the faith on Megalob. Um, I'm liking protect more. Yeah.
Protect. Okay, yeah, I like Protect too. Um, and it could scout. Let's say like Togekiss if it's like Trick or something or Rotom's Trick. So, I think this is good. So again, your win conditions Rev Room like later in the game. You want to chip things down with your Pult and Lopunny. Your setup targets are probably going to be Rotom. Once you know you can live a hit, Nidoking. Actually, sorry. Whoa, not Nidoking. You died, Nidoking. Ogerpon. Again, it's probably not going to have a ground move. It can, but again, you should probably know. Um, Chien-Pao it can set up, but it's probably not ideal. Togekiss is a good one because Togekiss is either gonna probably try to status you or just switch. So I think Togekiss is
Mhm.
probably the best target out of this whole game. It'd probably be Togekiss or Rotom, one of the two. But we can check. Let's check the calcs like at +1. Like, is any like what's living our hit here? Let's see. So what do we need to chip down for this Red Room guy to win? Just go
Definitely
+1.
Registeel. I
Yeah.
think Rotom. Just
Okay.
going off the top of my head and from memory. Maybe Latios. Oh no, Latias is the bulky one, so
Yeah.
maybe not.
Let's assume rocks are up too. Okay, so Chimpow's gonna die, Latias is gonna die, Rotom Wash. Rotom Wash is pretty. It's all it needs is a little chip, but you're probably gonna get from the rapid spin on treads. So Rotom's probably gonna be the tread switch in. So that's gonna die, and then Nidoking should die, right? Yeah. What else do they got?
Okay,
Ogerpon's
what
gonna
this is
die.
telling me is don't be greedy and go for another shift gear.
No, you don't. You definitely just need one, man. That's it. Yeah, Registeel. Even Registeel still takes a pretty good chunk of its
Well,
spit F.
that's the deck Registeel.
Yeah. Well, it probably will be for like Necro slash Bolt, I would think. Doesn't really make sense to be Fizz-Def here because Lopunny is still gonna do a shitload to it. So,
True, yeah.
and then Togekiss can check physical Bolt. So, I
Unless
think
it's Fizdef for the Reverroom.
that'd be crazy, but it could be. You know, never know. So, I mean, at the very least, what you're doing half to it anyway. So, yeah, you're doing half. So, there is 2 inaccurate moves again, which is annoying, but that's just the moves we had to go with. So, does Primate probably die? I mean, yeah, Primate dies. Pyroar's gonna die. And then Sableye. Yeah. So it's just if you shift gear and they bring it in, they can Encore. That's why, again, if they still have it alive, maybe you just attack. Like, maybe you bring in Reverroom kind of early and just attack just to see.
Yeah.
Because if you attack...
I've learned my lesson with Reverroom Encore after I lost 5-0 because Unburdened Lucha in Psychic Terrain clicked Encore on my high horsepower.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So...
And then I just lost.
Yeah, because even if you just heavy slam and they go into this, they don't have a play. They can't. If they encore you, like, okay, you get 2-shot, and if they will-o-wisp you, you die because you have Lumberry. So they got to be careful. Like, if you just attack, they die to do heavy slams. You know. So maybe they just don't even bring it though. Who knows? I really do think it's gonna come though, just because it's a good Necrozma check too. Necrozma plus Reverroom, I suppose. So, but again, you have a pretty good Prim. Prim's pretty good into Sableye. If you switch it into Sableye, you might get knocked off though, which is like the only thing, which is kind of suck. Or just if you the Nightshade or whatever it's gonna have, Seismic Toss, like your Champow check is gonna get whittled down, which is, you know, always troubling. So, but you
in
do
his previous games, I've noticed he usually saves Chen Pao to last.
Does he? Okay. I mean, that's probably better for you. So, oh well. Like, if you're scared about like Prim taking too much, you can use Necrozma versus Sableye, even though you don't like 1v1 it. He can't. You can bring it in and just toxic. Like, he can't stop that the first time, you know. So it was just then you'd have.
I guess yeah. It depends what he brings. What's most important to keep
Right. You would just be risking, like, you know, getting tricked maybe or something. But if you can trade toxic for that, I think it's worth it in my opinion. So. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good team. Are you thinking anything else here? Looking at the matchup, anything else worrying you or anything?
Not real, like, yeah, not really.
Okay, so we still have.
Think.
You don't think so? We covered Scarf.
I think I got about as good as sorry. I think I've got about as good of a team
as possible.
As I can for this.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? Like, how the matchup is in my favor or not in my favor?
I actually think it's pretty even. I'd actually might even be slightly in your favor, because I think just a combination of Lopunny plus Dragapult, it's pretty hard for him to deal with. You do have a pretty solid Chin-Pao check, which is nice. I think if you're gonna like one Pokemon that might kind of just screw you over is that Latios, if it is some like crazy set that you just don't expect. I think DD Latios is pretty likely here. If it's like Dragon Dance, right? Because it only needs Dragon Dance, Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Psychic move for Weezing. Like that does hit your entire team. Physical is, you know, less strong, weaker than special. But I mean,
You
even if
say
it,
less strong. It has 130 attack, right?
yeah, what like 160 special attack, but yeah, 130 is obviously still like very high. Um,
Yeah.
Necrozma is probably gonna be your initial Latios switch. So if it does DD, you could probably get a toxic off, and then you might take a lot, but it just depends because let's say they DD,
If it
right?
DDs, that means, well, I guess, yeah, it depends again what else he brings. But if it DDs, that means probably his most threatening special attacker isn't a special attacker,
Yeah, no,
which
yeah,
means I don't need Necro as much.
yeah. It would just be like if it's like DD the Latios plus like maybe Scarf Togekiss, that could be troubling because Necro would be needed for that. But if they DD right, and then you bring in Necro, like you can toxic as they probably maybe do like 50 with Dragon Claw or 60, and then you can choose to save Necrozma if you want, and then like pivot to Prima or something because you know it's physical, or pivot to you could pivot Prima and then like double to something else maybe. I mean on versus Primarina, like their hardest hitting move would probably be like Zen Headbutt or something. So I don't know. It just depends. If you get that toxic off, you could try to like double around a little bit, but you don't want to like start like lose sacking health on like everything. You do again have fake out and low punny to stall plus toxic is always nice. So it's not like you automatically lose if it's that set. Maybe if it's late game and your Necrozma's dead or weakened, and then they do that. Yeah, that's definitely something that could catch you off guard and could sweep you. But I mean,
Mhm.
other than that, like I think your team is pretty solid here. Even though, but two, if it's physical, like we said, Dragon Claw, Earthquake, and then Psychic move, you have an Air Balloon Treads too, which completely walls
Mhm.
that, and Megahorn will like one shot it. So you do have outs. It's not like there's a set I think that just bang 6-0s you off rip. You just have
Mhm.
to kind of take everything into account, and then go from there. Just think of all possibilities and try to keep your important pieces that you need. But yeah, I think that's it. I think that's a pretty solid team for you. We still have to decide a lead here. What do we think the best lead here is on your side?
I
Uh,
think lead Necrozma just get rocks up as soon as possible.
yes. Yep. I think Necrozma is the best lead too. So let's go through their Pokemon and kind of decide what we're gonna do with Necrozma here. So versus Chimpao, I think the play is pretty obvious.
Switch to Pring.
Yes, good job. Versus Latios, what are you thinking here?
I think with Latios, I think we Toxic.
Yeah, I think Toxic's okay. They're not going to switch into Nidoking. They might switch into Registeel. If they switch into Registeel, I think you're fine. I think you just either rocks or knock off, as they probably rocks or whatever. Because again,
Mhm.
Registeel is annoying for your win condition as well as just Dragapult. So it's up to you if you want to just on the turn two, if you try to Toxic and then go Reggie. If you think rocks or knock is more important, that's just up to you. I don't think either one's
Mhm.
a wrong play. Versus Rotom with Necro lead, what do you think?
Uh, I think I rocks just so that way I'm not like if they trick me, I will have had gotten my hazards up.
Yep, that's fine. I think Rocks is correct. Yep. Nidoking.
Rocks.
Yep. Ogerpon.
Rocks.
Yeah, because realistically, let me check if Cudgel just two shots you. I don't know if it does. Let me see. They can have obviously like banned or something, but let's just check no item. Okay, no item doesn't.
That is jolly,
Yeah.
but they probably are going to be jolly.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I think Rocks. Hmm. Yeah, Rocks is okay because if they have a U-turn, like U-turn into Reggie would be annoying if you try to like Toxic. So yeah, I think Rocks is good too versus him. Togekiss.
I think I rocks again, although I am kind of tempted to knock off.
I just think Rocks is
But
better. Yeah.
yeah,
Registeel, I think it's either Rocks or Knock. Up to you.
I think rocks because I want to get I want to get rocks up as soon as possible, so that way I can see if basically so that way I can see what Togekiss and Chen-Pao's items are,
Mm-hmm.
if they're boots or not.
Yep. Yep. That's definitely good reasoning. I think I agree with everything. Yep. Primeape is
Knock. Get rid of that Eviolite.
get rid of the Eviolite. You think versus Primeape you're gonna? Well, the problem is again, Primeape versus Necro. What are they doing? What do you think they're gonna click?
That's fair.
It's either gonna be Switch or U-turn. So I do think Rocks is probably actually
Does
better.
Primeape get knock?
No, no, I said Switch or U-turn for them. Oh, you're just asking if it gets knockoff though?
Yeah.
I could check.
It would be very ballsy to click knock there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be kind of crazy. Yeah, I just realized. But wait, you're not in NatDex, but let me check NatDex. I don't think it does though. No, it does not. So
Yeah, okay.
it's gonna U-turn or switch, one of the two, or Rocks, I guess. But yeah, so I think Rocks is the play there. Rocks is the play versus Pyro R2 and well, Sableye. No, I don't think Rocks is the play. What do you think the play versus Sableye is?
Sableye, I toxic it.
Yeah. So
I need as much chip on that as I can get.
yeah. So realistically, Necrozma is staying in versus everything besides Chanpao. So that's a pretty good
And
dedicated
versus
lead.
Chen-Pao, I have a very safe switch.
Yeah. And again, you can scout if they're banded or whatever too off the initial damage. So I think we're good to go, man. Is there anything else? I mean, the EVs look fine. I know we didn't like. Oh wait, we're missing. Hello, 64. What are we taking? Either special or physical hit? Probably.
I think physical for a priority move potentially.
From Champao.
Yeah.
Like Sucker Punch.
That's my first thought. Although, yeah, maybe I guess it depends whether I prioritize. Look, I was gonna say I guess it depends whether I prioritize setting up or keeping my sweep. Yeah, you should prioritize setting up.
Yeah,
What am I thinking?
Sucker Punch is gonna do a crap ton anyway. Yeah, so you got to be very careful with what turn you set up and what you set up versus, because Rotom and Togekiss we said are ideal setup targets, but Pump / Flamethrower will do probably over half. It definitely will do over half to Reverum, and that does put you in, Sucker Punch range if it does have Sucker Punch. So, maybe that might be a thing where maybe you want to, if he might not let you, but if you can kill Chanpao before you try to go for game with Reverum, that might be the play, just because Sucker Punch does so much. I don't know. So coverage moves, like, it's gonna have stab. It's gonna have I mean, it doesn't technically have to have Psychic Fangs. You could just like hit it with Crash, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then
what does Sacred Sword hit?
Lopunny. And I guess Treads too for a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And I guess Crawdaunt, if he cares about that.
Might have Sword Stand. Like, yeah, he kind of only needs the stab.
I don't know if he's going to have both Shard and Sucker Punch. He can, because I guess Sucker Punch also works for Bolt over Shard. But he's just susceptible to Willow then, or Sub even.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like Shard might be better. I don't know. I think it could potentially have Sucker Punch, so don't just assume it doesn't. But I don't know. I feel like Shard is more likely if it's going to have priority. So, but
assume it has both.
Yeah, you can assume it has both for sure, unless it shows you obviously more moves. Again, Psychic move for Weezing makes sense. Sacred Sword for a couple of things makes sense, but you never know. So, but I think we're good, man. I think we're good with this team. I think this is a pretty good game plan. We have a good lead too. So it's just gonna come down to the battle, man. Which again, after you do the battle, I'm gonna be alone, just kind of talking about the battle and kind of how I think you played and all that nonsense, and then we'll just make one video. So I think that's it, sir.
If you completely tear into me in the battle analysis, feel free to tear into me if needed.
I will say my honest opinions. Okay, harsh, not harsh, good things, bad things, everything. Even hey, what if you get 6-0 on lead here? Hopefully it doesn't happen, but it can happen. You know, it is what it is. I'll go over what you've... I mean, you're not going to, because we already went over, like, turn 1 what to do, but, you know, if you get smash, you know, just, like, 6-0 or 5-0, like, yeah, I'll just talk about kind of your plays and everything like that. So, but I think that's it, man. So, that's going to wrap up
Thank you so much for doing this. I've learned a lot.
I got you, man. I got you. Don't worry. If I go through all the people, too, that's another thing, and, like, there's, like, no more, like, I'll probably just like ping everyone to like do it again. If you want to do it again, it's up to you guys. So, but yeah, that's gonna conclude our team building for the first episode, and then I'll cut to the battle. Peace. All right, guys, we're here for the battle again. Reminder of Toast's pace right here. Our plan was just to lead Necrozma. He's actually going up against Paco. I didn't know it was Paco. He's pretty good. I've seen him battle a bunch. And Toast did say he's undefeated with Chimpao as the kill leader. So let's see how Toast does. We're gonna lead off with Necrozma. They lead Ogerpon, so I think just get up the rocks is probably the play here. He could have knocked off just because if it's a lead Ogerpon, it might have taunt, but we did say that we want to rocks up for sure just to see if this is boots, to see if Togekiss is boots, get Latios in range of our win condition, which is +1 gunk shot. I think always kills if it takes rocks. So, but they go hard, Chimpao aggressive play, which is fine. We get up our rocks. And then we're going to go into our check, which is Primarina. That did a shitload of damage. That's probably Choice Bandit if I had to guess. And then let's see. Scald is fine because you could fish for a burn and get a crit, which is nice. And then he protects. So protect is good too because he could probably tell based off that Scald damage and crit, it's probably more defensive and it's leftovers. He could have been substitute, but we're not too worried about that because we do have Infiltrator on Dragapult. So sub is good, or protect is good to get a little bit of extra chip. And then he's going to make his pivot into Necrozma, which is good. It's our super def Pokemon, and Paco does choose to go for Thunderbolt, which is fine. So now we can either knock off or Morning Sun. He chooses to knock off. There's no problem with that. Voltwiz comes through, and they bring in Togekiss, which is interesting because Enna reveals boots. I don't know why they went Togekiss, probably to defog, but I feel like you want to keep this Necrozma low, right? So you could either go Chimpao, maybe if it's not boots, it'll take 25. You don't want to do that, or maybe go something like Ogerpon, which might be able to kill us with an Ivy Cudgel, or if Draco Meteor from Mega Latios kills. Probably just something to like pressure this Necrozma because now he's probably gonna he Morning Suns, and he gets a defog off. So I think Toast is actually doing pretty well right now. He's definitely in the lead. We're gonna see a double out on the knockoff. I don't know why they went again. They just seem to go hard into Chimpao, but like Necrozma can have Heat Wave. I guess we've only shown 3 moves, so he's assuming just Heat Wave is not the last slot. But either way, we get a knockoff, which is pretty nice. So we knock off the ban. So Primarina is going to be able to come in easily now. Paco does make a nice play and catches us on the double, and we protect. I don't like this protect play because yeah, we'll be at 100%, but we have our Balloon Treads to pretty much counter this Nidoking because if he clicks Stealth Rocks, we can just spin right away, and if he clicks an attack, you know, it's probably not going to have Flamethrower like we said. So Treads should always be the play into Nidoking because even if you protect, I don't know if you knew this, but Stealth Rocks still goes through protect as he does just go for rocks. So a bit unfortunate for us, but it's all good. We go into Treads the next turn on probably Sludge Wave or Earth Power, which is good. And then we're just going to spin here, looks like. Yep. 17. So we did say Rotom was pretty much like the only Rotom was pretty much like the only Pokemon that can kind of deal with this Treads because we have Mega Horn and Stab as the last two. Now he chooses to Mega Horn here. I don't really agree with that play. He's probably predicting a Volt Switch, but even if it landed, it didn't kill. So, and losing the balloon and just honestly you just lose Treads if he clicks Hydro Pump here. I don't think it's worth it because Treads looks really, really good offensively with the speed boost, and it's your Nidoking check. So I don't agree that it's worth trying to go for the Mega Horn and then predicting him to Volt Switch. I think you just go something like even a Dragapult, for example, because Dragapult is faster than everything besides a potential Scarfer, and Volt Switch isn't going to do too much, and if you Hydro Pumps, again, it's not going to do too much to Dragapult. But we go for Mega Horn, and he does get the prediction right. He must have predicted the Rotom to Volt Switch. Unfortunately, he missed. So now the Rotom is probably gonna Hydro Pump, so I probably would switch again. He doesn't, and he gets a critical hit actually and just kills the Rotom, so that's nice. Oh, Paco is not happy. He said, oh, fuck off. Alright, so In comes Ogerpon, but Ogerpon, yeah, Ogerpon does not kill the treads, so Toast is good here, just to stay in and go for another Mega Horn. Hits that one, and then he could just follow it up with an Earthquake because it's faster now, yeah. Shukaberry does not matter, cool. So yeah, we're max attack, Adamant. Big treads going in clutch here. Ogerpon comes in again to Superpower to try to kill, but it does not. Heavy Slam, just take it off, that is the correct play, you can't miss. Very well played by Toast's part. Now Chien-Pao comes in. He can choose to just sack this to probably an Ice Shard, or he can go Primarina. I don't think there's a bad play. Honestly, Primarina is probably better here just because it's at full health now. So, and you could save this Treads guy for Togekiss. He does make the right play and go Primarina, nice. And then this is pretty much just a free Moonblast, I would think. Yeah, Moonblast is fine. Get a special attack drop, which is also fine. And then he crits. So he's going to stay in here with Primarina versus Togekiss. Yeah, okay, so this whole sequence is not correct, I don't think. The Moonblast is fine, and then following up with one Scald is also okay because it's not going to do a ton of Air Slash. But on this turn right here, you know he's going to Roost if he has it. There's no reason to protect here. I definitely think you just make an aggressive play, maybe into Treads or into Reverum, because we did say Reverum is, like, Togekiss is a pretty good setup target for Reverum, especially because they've shown Defog and Air Slash, Roost. Their last slot's either going to be a Fire move to hit the Steels or Thunder Wave, and again we have Lumberry, so we don't really care about either. But we protect on their Roost, so they get a little bit more out of that turn, unfortunately. And we're just going to stay in here and take some more chip. And now we make the play into Necrozma. Yeah, Necrozma was definitely the correct play earlier, just because it's Spadef, and they could definitely take this with no problem. And then here we can either click Knockoff or Rocks. I mean, Rocks is okay. It's not going to affect that Togekiss as we've seen, so it would just be affecting Chien-Pao, and a little bit of Latios. So that's not a bad play. Rocks is okay. Again, we could just always go Primarina on Chien-Pao. So another crit. There's a lot of crits this game, I feel like. It's kind of crazy. But we protect here to get more lefties. That's fine. And then I'm assuming we're going to follow it up with a Moonblast the next turn, as they probably just go into Togekiss. And then we have this matchup yet again. So he has two chances to go hard into either Reverum or hard into Lopunny and just threaten this with a triple Axel, because actually Lopunny probably doesn't even die from one Air Slash, even from full. And then if it doesn't, then just two attacks will kill Togekiss, Axel will kill Lottie, and obviously a fighting move will kill Chien-Pao. So even Lopunny, like Lopunny or Reverum here is very in like prime condition to win this game right here. So he just has to make a switch on a turn that he either defogs or roosts. So he doesn't switch there, unfortunately, on the Roost. We go for another Scald. You could switch probably after one more hit, is what I would say. So he's going to protect. Okay, so he's kind of feeling out Paco's, like, what he wants to do. Whoa. Okay, so he didn't even wait for a defog or a Roost. He just went hard into Reverum. I guess he's not going to expect him to use any other move than Air Slash. So as long as Reverum can live Air Slash into maybe like a Fire Blast, this should just win the game, actually. Flamethrower gets the burn. We do have Lumberry, though. I'm trying to think, based off that damage, I don't think Fire Blast would kill. If Fire Blast never killed, then this was a fine play. We get the Lumberry, and then I think this just wins, right? Like Heavy Slam, we just have to hit a Gunk Shot versus Mega Latios, right? Does this thing just 6-0? Does Toast just 6-0 the undefeated coach? Dude, that's kind of crazy. He played really well. I didn't really think there wasn't like too many misplays or anything. He played really well. He didn't even use his two like most offensive Pokemon, really. Dragapult and Lopunny did not even touch the field. And his opponent was a little bit salty there. Doesn't even say GG, just says hurry up, and he said fuck off earlier. So that makes me feel happy. Like, I like beating people and they get mad. They don't even say GG. Like, it's a game, you know. You can get mad a little bit, but at least say GG. You know, don't get too, like, you know, fussed up about it. So, but I'm really happy for Toast, man. He played really, really well, and I'm glad that the build worked out. I'll probably talk to him after the game and see kind of what he was thinking through all those plays and everything. But that's pretty much the best outcome you can hope for, man. Paco was undefeated and he took him down. And I think Toast goes like 5-2 now in the league that he's in. So congrats to him, man. Again, if you guys want to be featured on this series where I live build a team with you guys and then review the replay after, all you gotta do is join the Discord in the description below and type in the word in the Team Building with Zooch channel. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace.